The substitute teacher locked the classroom door halfway through second period, turned off the lights and whispered, "Nobody looks outside." There were 27 of us in AP history, and our regular teacher had been out sick for 3 days. Her name was Mrs. Vale, and on Monday she seemed normal, just nervous. By Friday, she had started checking the hallway between every sentence. Then she walked to the door, looked through the narrow window, and whispered, "He found me." A sophomore named Tyler raised his hand. "Who?" She turned toward him with tears already running down her face. "The man who thinks I stole something." Then she pulled the blind shut. This isn't a joke. The room went dead quiet. She told us to put our phones on the floor. When Maya tried to text her mother under the desk, Mrs. Vale saw the screen and rushed over. "Don't call anyone. He can track you." Maya started crying. Mrs. Vale looked at her phone, then suddenly softened. I'm sorry. I don't want you involved." She walked back to the desk and began shaking so badly she dropped the scissors. That's when I noticed the bruises around her wrist. They weren't fresh, but they looked like fingerprints. Then we heard footsteps outside. Slow footsteps. Everyone stared at the door. 3 knocks came from the other side. Mrs. Vale backed away. "Don't answer." A man's voice followed. "Emily, I know you're in there." The teacher's face went white. Tyler whispered, "That's him, isn't it?" She nodded. The man knocked again. "You can't hide forever." Then he walked away. We heard his shoes disappear down the hall. Mrs. Vale waited, almost a full minute before speaking. "My husband has been looking for me." Someone whispered, "You said he was your ex." She looked at the floor. He was. I left him 6 months ago. He had been taking money from her bank account, reading her messages, following her to work, and threatening to hurt her if she talked to police. She had finally filed for a protective order, but that morning she discovered he'd somehow gotten a copy of the school schedule. She thought he'd come for her. Then the fire alarm started. Everyone jumped. Mrs. Vale grabbed the classroom phone and tried to call the office, but the line was dead. Smoke wasn't coming from anywhere, but the alarm kept screaming. Then the hallway lights went out. "He cut the power," she whispered. A few kids started crying. I looked through the lower glass panel of the door and saw a shadow stop outside. Then the handle moved. Mrs. Vale pushed a desk against the door. "Everyone get away from the windows." The handle turned again, harder. Then came a voice I'd never heard before. "Mrs. Vale, this is Officer Daniels. Open the door." She didn't move. "How do I know you're really a cop?" The voice answered calmly. "Because your neighbor called us 20 minutes ago. She saw your husband outside your house last night. Your son also called." Mrs. Vale stared at the door. "My son? He's with us. He's safe." She covered her mouth. Then another voice came through the hallway speaker. "Mom." It was a teenage boy. Mrs. Vale dropped into the nearest chair and started sobbing. "I'm here, sweetheart." "I told them everything," he said. "I told them about Dad." The classroom stayed silent except for her crying. Then Officer Daniels said, "Emily, we need you to step away from the door. Your husband is not in this building. We found him outside by the gym. He had your old house key and a knife." Nobody breathed. Mrs. Vale slowly moved the desk. 2 officers entered, followed by the principal. They didn't rush her or handcuff her. One officer crouched beside her and said, "You're safe now." Her son was waiting in the hallway. The moment she saw him, she ran forward and held him so tightly he could barely move. We learned later that her husband had been arrested for violating the protective order, stalking and making threats. They changed the locks, added security cameras, and gave every teacher emergency training. Mrs. Vale never returned to our class. 3 months later, our principal read a letter from her. She apologized for frightening us and thanked us for staying calm. At the bottom, she wrote one sentence I'll never forget. "Sometimes the person who looks the most dangerous in the room is the person who has been trying to survive the longest."